Hello, good morning or good day, depending on what time you're watching this. It is 9:15 a.m. my time here in British Columbia. And welcome. This will be day 4 of our Pilates for golfers. And today we're going to look at the hips. Now the hips can be very interesting. The hips are, of course, the power for your golf swing. They generate all of those forces from the legs up, transferring through your spine, through your rotation, and into the club. So what we can build and power from our hips is critical in terms of being able to create power. The hips can also be a bit of a problem child because the hips can be tight, they can be sticky, they can be stuck. They can have a lot of challenges in terms of good movement and in terms of posture in the hip. So I won't go too much into the anatomy and bore you with all of those details, but suffice to say, there's a lot going on in the hips. So we're talking about the muscles not only around the glutes, so the buttock muscles of the big power glute maximus muscles, but these deeper muscles inside the hip joint that rotate the leg bone, and we'll do some of this in a moment, that rotate the leg bone inside that hip socket. And if those muscles are tight or weak or imbalanced between left and right, there is going to be a difficult time for us to create that movement of rotation around the legs in our golf swing. So what do I mean by that? Well, let's start with a little warm-up, and then we'll delve a bit more into it as we progress through our time today. So if this is the first time you're meeting me, my name is Janine. I've been a Pilates teacher for over 20 years and a movement coach for almost 30. I love working with athletes, with golfers, because there's so much going on in this sport. And I know that Pilates and the movement that I bring to the table for golfers is just so beneficial, just absolutely wonderful in creating more strength and flexibility to give you a better golf swing and to take care of your body so that you're not injuring yourself. We want to play longer, we want to play better, and we want to play healthy, right? Okay, so let's warm up these hips a little bit. So go ahead and just stand with your feet hip width apart. So thinking about and maybe even looking at your feet themselves and ensuring that they're parallel for this morning. So not turned out, not with one foot in front of the other. Try to have those feet right underneath your hips so you create that energetic chain from your feet up to the hips, to the pelvis. Beautiful. And then as we talked yesterday a lot about lengthening the spine in our rotation, just do that now. Find a beautiful length to your whole spine and soften your shoulders down your back. Now let's just take 3 breaths here, just to ground ourselves, to center ourselves. So breathe in through your nose. Beautiful breath, and exhale out through your mouth. One more time. Actually, 2 more. Inhale. Can't count this morning. And exhale. 3rd one. Big breath in. And exhale. Good. Hands on your hips. And as we did on Monday, our very first day, start with a little pelvic tipping. So rolling your pelvis forward and back. Rolling the pelvis forward and back. Moving your pelvis over the leg bones. Moving your pelvis in relationship to those hip muscles. And just notice how that feels for you this morning or later today whenever you're watching this replay. Let's do a couple more. Tipping under, releasing one more time. Good. And then again, as we did on day 1, start to go into a circle. Think of this like a hula hoop or a nice full smooth circle pattern where we're allowing the hips, the pelvis to rotate over those leg bones. So I'm letting my tail lift a little bit, bringing it under, moving it side to side. Let's go the other direction. So this is also a really nice warm-up for your low back, and that connection of the low back, you can feel that into the glutes, and also is starting to warm up the inner thighs and the outer thighs. Good. And then just pause there. Okay, so next we're going to look at a little bit of specific rotation of the leg bone inside the hip joint, and we'll do it one leg at a time. So I'm just going to stand with my weight on my left foot. I'm going to really anchor down into that, stand nice and tall. And then I'm just going to bring my right toes to the floor so my knee is bent. Now, first of all, this outside hip, my left hip, I really need to engage it, or engage that glute muscle to pull in so I stand tall. You don't want to be sinking into the hip. So glute strength to bring yourself right up on top of that leg. That's number one. Keep that active. Number two now is we're going to start to rotate the front foot, the front leg. So I'm turning my knee out, I'm turning my knee in and across. This movement is coming inside the hip. The pelvis stays still, right? Your torso stays nice and still. So focusing on squeezing that standing leg glute for stability, and then rotating internal and external rotation of this moving leg. Let's take two more. And one more time. Good. And then bring that down. Separate your feet again. Find that nice balanced position and take a few hula hoops just to release that. And then the other way. Good. Okay, so we're transitioning to the other side. I'm going to bring my weight to stand very energetically on top of my right leg. Engage those glute muscles to pull up and in, stand tall, and then just lightly touch my left toes to the floor. So you don't need to do this with the leg in the air. Keep a little grounded point through the big toe. Good. And then we start to work on noticing how well this side moves. Now you might feel that it's easier to go one direction. Normally that's the case. Turning out is easier usually than turning in, but we need them both. We need them both. Let's take four more. 1 and 2. Keep squeezing that standing side leg. 3. Good. And 4. And then bring that down. And then a few of those hip tucks and tips, just rolling the pelvis forward and back. And then just shake out your tail feathers a little bit. Okay. Do you remember yesterday when we did our separation test for our upper body, when we looked at rotating the upper body and not moving the lower body, really separating that action? Well, today the test is similar, but for the hips. So we're going to come back into that testing position. Hands across your shoulders, shoulders back and down. Glide your hips back. Imagine you're addressing the ball, so you're in your golf stance. Now, I don't want you to move your upper body. That's going to stay steady. And we're going to focus on just rotating the pelvis. Oh, so what does that mean here? And I'm doing this with my knees staying pretty still. So you're drawing the right hip back. You're drawing the left hip back. Right hip back, left hip back. What you don't want to do is sway from side to side. So in a golf swing, we need to stay very centered over our feet and find that rotation, moving the hip back without sliding left or right, yeah? So just take a few more of these and notice how that's feeling for you. And then come on up. Okay, hands to the hips again. We're going to do that same separation, but standing. So it might give you more feedback to know how to actually make this happen, because you can touch your hips. So I'm going to just soften my knees a little bit. I'll invite you to do the same. And then I'm going to focus this right hip to move back. So as I turn that right hip back, my left hip comes more forward to face the camera. My shoulders hopefully haven't gone too far. And then back to center. And then I take my left hip back, right? So the angle of my pelvis is changing. Let's pick up a club, if you have yours handy, and do that with the club. So you can look down and see the line from hip to hip, and you can actually touch the club right to your lower abdomen there. Now, without moving your arms or the club, just pull your right hip back away from the shaft, and then bring it forward so they're touching again. Good. And then go ahead with the left hip, pulls back and center. Right hip back and center. Left hip back and center. Do you notice how much core is actually required to create that movement, to assist you with getting the pelvis to turn? A lot of muscles here. And back and left, back. Take 4 more. Right, back and left, back, right, back and left and back. Okay. That's actually even a little harder than in our full golf swing. Let's just do a little pivot turn rotation, something that mimics a little more freedom. And because in our golf swing we lift the foot softly, we can lift that back heel as we come through our follow through, it allows the rotation to be a bit freer. So if you can do it with your feet down, learning how to create that power and control, you'll be able to create it again with more awareness in your full golf swing. Okay, good. And let that go. So we're going to come down onto the mat, and we're going to look at 3 sets of exercises to help strengthen the glutes and the hips. Bridging, which is just a classic, fantastic athletic movement, but we're going to add a golfer's challenge to that hip rotation in a bridge. Then we're going to look at external and internal rotation again, side lying, and also some stretches to just release this area. So let's go ahead and come on down to the mat, and I'll bring you a little closer. Hello. Okay. So I'd like you to come down onto your back. You might want a little pillow, but I don't need you to have anything too high under your head. Once you've come down, set your feet hip width apart. Again, so we have that balanced position, the feet in line with your hips. So very much like train tracks here. Okay, let's bring the arms down beside you. Now I'd like you just to take a deep breath in through your nose. And as you exhale through the mouth, think of drawing the stomach muscles in, that nice support through the low abdominals. Do that again. Breathing out, starting to feel that core connection coming into the picture. Now next time you exhale, we're going to lift the hips. So we press into the feet, we activate the core, and we lift the pelvis. It's a squeeze from the buttocks to do that. Inhale to come down. One piece, you land in a neutral position. Exhale up. Inhale down. So we're moving the hips up and folding back down. I'm not driving up so high that I'm pushing into my neck. So I don't need you to come into this great big arching spine. We want to think of being more neutral in our angle. So really focus on the glutes and the hips, not pushing the ribs and the chest. Does that make sense? Keep the ribs contained a little bit. You'll feel your core helping you. Okay? Just move from the hip joint. Glutes to lift. Good. 2 more. Using your breath. 1 more time. Using your breath. And then come down. Okay. Let's have a little hamstring stretch before we go into the next one. just bring your hands behind the back of your hamstring, the back of the thigh. Press your leg away from you. So you're not trying to pull it in very tight. You want to actually press the leg away from you as you stretch it up. So we can create a little more strength into the position, and that helps to stretch those muscles. Now while we've got the leg here, why don't we circle? Let's take 4 beautiful big circles. Just breathe, circling the ankle. Going the other way. Good. And then point and flex your foot 4 times. Point and flex, point and flex. So wonderful working without shoes. We really get to feel what's going on with some of these muscles that maybe we aren't always so aware of. The feet are an interesting topic for another day, I suppose, but we include them here, of course, being aware of where you place them. Okay, second side, hands come behind your thigh, press that leg into your hands and stretch it up. Take 3 deep breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose. So these hamstrings, of course, they attach to the back of your pelvis, to your glutes, to the sitting bone area. So that attaches to your hips, and if they're tight, it restricts them. Stretching your hamstrings, really a nice thing to include. Good, let's rotate the foot. Plus it feels good, right? I mean, kind of that candy pain. It hurts so good, yeah. If you're somebody that has like restless leg syndrome or something like that, stretch your hamstrings before you go to bed. Give them some length, a little bit of attention, just to try to calm and release those muscles before you try to get some sleep. Okay, and then point and flex, point and flex, point and flex. Good, bend your knee and reset the foot. So aligning them again, hip width apart. We're going into part 2 of our bridge. This time when we come up, we're going to stay lifted, and then we're going to find that little rotation that we practiced in standing. So press the arms down beside you, take a nice deep breath. Think of gathering from your core and squeezing from your glutes to lift you up. Now, imagine a golf ball is resting on your low abdomen, and you're going to now roll it off of one side. So I'm going to drop my right hip or rotate my right hip down, thinking of that golf ball just rolling right off my pelvis. And then return your pelvis to level. Right hip comes up. Now we go the other way. The left hip goes down so that that golf ball would roll and back up. So we're turning right and center, turning the pelvis left and center. You want to keep your legs still. So if you're finding it difficult to keep your legs quiet while you do this, you could put a ball between your knees or a pillow between your knees, something, a yoga block. Let's do 4 more. Turn. If you don't have anything like that, just be thoughtful, keeping your legs in line with your feet, keeping that steady parallel position. 1 more time, and center, and bring it down. Okay, give your knees a little hug. Nice big squeeze in. Good. And then separate your legs with your hands still on your knees and just make some circles here of your leg bones so that you start to rotate your leg bones inside the hip. Keep your pelvis nice and still and just focus on the leg bones themselves. Let's go the other way. And remember your breath. Inhale and exhale. In through the nose and out through the mouth. Okay, bring your feet down and roll over onto one side. So this next little series is called clamshells. And again, clamshells is just one of those really classic athletic conditioning exercises that is so important even for top level athletes, but it's important for hip replacement patients. So it really covers everything and everybody in terms of getting some more strength and good movement inside this hip socket. So I've got my knees bent like I'm in a triangle. So my knees are in front, but my feet are back in line with my bum. Bring your head back, bring yourself into a nice straight spine, and then think about what we did in standing. As we rotate the top knee, the glutes back here are the main muscles that are going to be creating this. Ones that you can feel with your touch of your fingers right there on the back hip pocket. There's also deep muscles inside the socket that you can't feel with your own touch, but they're also working. Now the key to this is to not roll backwards. You don't want to be moving your torso. Your spine stays still, and we just focus on that external rotation. Okay, let's take 4 more. Breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in. Good. You're trying to make a full range of motion, meaning as far as you can comfortably go without rotating backwards in your body, right? Just the leg. Good. Last one. And down. Okay, good. So that's our external rotation. What about internal? I'm just going to lift my leg up now, and I'm going to focus on going internal rotation. The knee touches down and then comes back up. Knee touches down. There's that turning in and up. Turning in. Okay, breathing. Breathing. I know, it's a lot to focus on. Take a couple more. 3, 2, and last one. And stretch that leg long, straight down. Good. Point your toes, bring your hand in front for a little balance, and now a nice full circle. 4 of these. Keep your body steady. Focus on moving the leg bone in the hip. Good. How's the breath? Let's go the other direction. Press it backwards. You want to feel those glutes firing as you move your leg behind you. Stay nice and steady. One more time. Awesome. And bring it down. Okay, good. We're going to change sides. You get to do that all over again on the other side. So, clamshells. So, I don't know if you recognize this, but we'll review it when we come back to standing. How in your golf swing, when you are in your back swing and your follow through, the pelvis is rotating around your legs, okay? And so this is what we're doing here. We're getting more movement quality, more strength, and more awareness. I've got my triangle, feet in line with the hips, nice engaged core, head back. I've just got my head resting on my arm, but you could have a pillow there. And then keep your feet together and start to rotate that leg bone so the knee is pointing upward. And as I'm doing this, I'm keeping my core engaged. So that just should feel like your abdominal wall is gathering in. You've got a little lift underneath that side of you, right? You're not sinking into the floor. Stay nice and long, supported, and then you can access these glute rotators, these hip muscles, nice and cleanly, okay? Little touch on your back pocket. If you're not sure what's going on or if anything is going on, just tap those muscles back around what I call your back pocket. If you're wearing jeans and you put your hands in your back pocket, that's what I'm talking about. Give it a little tap. You should be able to feel some muscles firing. Okay, and pause. Now we come into the opposite. So we need to start with the leg higher, and then we rotate it internal, little touch down and then back up. Rotate down and up. Just imagine turning a faucet, okay? Turning a tap, turning it down and up, turning it down. Internal rotation. These are tricky. 4, but we need that full balance in the hip to be able to rotate all the way around the leg. Good. And now stretch it out straight down from your hip. Point your toe, maybe a little balance with your hand in front of you. Maybe not. If you can do it with no touch, then try it. You want to use your core. One more time in this direction. And now go the other way. It's a full circle. Doesn't have to be big, but we want to get that full circumference inside the hip. One more time. Good. And down and rest. Okay. Whew. How did those go? I think that's what I wanted to show you. Yes. So I've got one more stretch, maybe 2 to finish. And one is specifically for your deep glutes, which is always an area that people complain that they're tight in. So we're back on our back. And this is called a number 4 stretch. You might know it as thread the needle or number 4. I'm going to bring this is my right leg, and I'm going to externally rotate it like we've been practicing and place my foot over my left knee. Once I've done that, I'm going to bring my left leg in towards my body. Now, you've got options. The traditional way is to bring your arms through the space and hold behind your hamstring. But if you do this and you find that your head is really struggling and your shoulders are rounding, then I'd rather you just hold the outside of your top foot and around your knee. And that way you can use your arms to pull in, keeping your chest open. So choose what works for you. Now you're going to feel a lot of sensation in the back of that hip. I need you to breathe deeply, in through the nose and out through the mouth. Breathing in and breathing out. One more time. Nice full breath. Exhale. And then lower your foot to the floor and uncross the leg. Okay. Let's try the other side. Just move your feet down a bit so you've got some room. And then I'll bring my left leg up. I'm going to turn it out, external rotation, and lower my left foot over my right leg. And then bring my right leg in towards me. Now again, you could choose to hold underneath your hamstring if you can get that there comfortably. Might even just want to put a little pillow under your head here. These can be so intense, and if you feel this stretch is intense for you, which it is for me, you need to spend a little time, probably more time than we are right now. So again, I often do these stretches at night. If we're watching a movie or something before bed, I'll just get down on the floor and do a few things. You know, my husband loves to watch his movies at night. Well, it's 2 hours at a time, so I can use that to do a few things for my body at the same time. This feels really good. Remember, you've got the other option, the hand around the outer knee and foot. Bring it in that way. Let's take 3 more breaths. If you suffer from any kind of sciatica or piriformis syndrome, if you know about that, then this kind of stretching is also very important and can be very, very helpful. And then lower your legs. And we'll finish today bringing the feet nice and wide. So I've got my feet as wide as my mat. You could take yours maybe a little wider. Open your arms again out to a T like we did yesterday, the palms up. And now we're going to rotate the legs in this wide position. I call this windshield wipers. And so you're allowing the leg bones to turn, one down and one in. Let's do this 8 times to finish. Just nice deep breathing. Thinking about that bottom leg going down, the top leg coming in and across. There's that internal rotation. You'll feel how that starts to pull into these muscles, and you'll start to recognize how everything is connected, yeah? Let's do a couple more. So movement is the key. Getting these tissues to slide and glide, creating more movement quality where maybe there is a stickiness or something that is not gliding very well. Nice big hug. And release. Okay, so I hope that felt good. I hope you learned something today. Practice it. Do those hip rotations. Do the separation exercise. And let me know how it goes for you. Tomorrow is Friday, our last day of this challenge. We'll be putting the whole thing together into a full little routine that covers all of what we've been speaking about. I'll still try to keep it to 30 minutes, and I look forward to seeing you then. So until then, I'm Janine. Have a great day, move well, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.